Hey everyone. So a few people have been trying to make quizzes with groups, or we would call them test banks in academia, right? If you want to have a quiz, maybe that's open forever, and a kid can go back and do it over and over and over again, but you don't want them to have the same exact test. Or if you want to eliminate cheating, or in math, you want to present different questions to different students, there are multiple ways to do that. One of the easiest ways to do it, and it does feel a little confusing, is you do need to build some basic question banks first. But you can also do this if you already have some question banks and you're already trying to fiddle your way around Canvas. And I'm going to show you today in the quizzes. So we're going to click on quizzes. We're going to open a new quiz. I'm going to use classic quizzes because it's easier to learn in classic quizzes. We're learning the vocabulary, but it still looks like something we would know how to work in. New quizzes looks a lot newer, has a lot more fancy features, but is not comfortable to work in for those of us who are new to Canvas. So we're going to click on classic quizzes. Then when we're in classic quizzes, we have all of these options. We can name this quiz. I'm going to name this demo. And then we're going to click over to questions. When we click into questions, we have new question. We can create a question. We have new question groups, which is where you'd think you would go if you were creating a question group and you already had a test bank. Would make sense if it was inside of a single course shell for a class that you were going to copy over. But if you're using this in real time and your PLC is developing quizzes here, and then you're going to push just the quiz out, we need to build those banks directly into the quizzes. So we're going to use the find question feature. And if your PLC is like the math one, they've already built all of these beautiful multiple choice, true and false test banks. So we're going to go chapter 3, true and false. And what I'm going to do is, if I want all of these to be in my test bank on my quiz, that means it's going to be embedded, meaning it will travel anywhere I send this quiz to. I'm just going to select all questions, and I'm going to call it a new group. So I can name this. Maybe this is true and false. And then maybe I have multiples. I'm true and false 1. I want them to have 4 true and false. Each one is worth 2 points. Then I can create that group right there. And then I can push add questions. Now it's going to populate both the questions and the group, so that when a student comes to this question or this group of questions, they're only going to get 4 questions out of this group randomly. And that way they're already there in the test. You can continue to build your test like this, and you can even use the same test bank, or you can split your test banks so that you have students pulling from very direct areas. So if you only want them to solve y equals mx plus b, or if you want that, and I don't know, in math, I remember like y1 minus y2 over x1, something like that. You can do that with this pick feature. And again, I got that very simply. I scroll all the way down when I want to create a quiz, and I'm going to find questions. I can also create questions and then push them to a test bank, but that is an advanced tool. And if you're playing around, you could definitely figure that out. But for now, if you've already created test banks, you would go to find questions, and then you would select them and add them to a question group. That question group will be imported, and you'll see all of those questions on the quiz. Now, the difference is, if I have a course I'm going to copy every year to start out the year with, and I already have all my test banks and this course is perfect, which is where we'll probably be at in year 3 of implementation of Canvas, we could click at that time, new question group, and I could say, hey, I'm going to link this to a question group. And you know what? I'm going to link it to right here. I'm going to select that test bank, and then it would randomly pull that. But when I go to share this quiz with, I don't know, with Susie Stoffels or with Mark Bell, they're not going to see this test bank because the test bank doesn't exist in their shell. It only exists in the shell I created in my course. And obviously it would exist in the shell that you make for your PLC for them to pull those questions from, which is a great practice. And having those PLC shells are awesome because throw all the content in there and only pull what's necessary for your class. But as you can see here, it says questions will be pulled from the bank, Chapter 3, Constructed Response, Sections 4 and 6. The only way to get this question to work, I would have to send the bank itself, and that requires a download and upload. Right now, Canvas doesn't have an easy way to do that. And then I would click Create Group, and then it's done. It's there like that. Now, this is ineffective. Like I said, you can't send it anywhere. You also can't add additional questions with it set like this. So what I recommend is you delete this one, and you just use the Find New Questions. Select the test bank that you want to use. Select all the questions, or you can go through and select just the ones you like. Then I would name it a new group. And maybe this is and then maybe this one you're actually going to do, it's going to be the 5, and maybe these are worth more. Maybe they're worth 4 points each. Then you can have questions where different point values, and you can actually go in and change that on individual questions, their point value, but you cannot change the point value if they're in a group. All questions in one group are considered to be worth the same value. So you're going to have to add those there. Then I'll populate another group down below, and I'll have another group here. And you'll notice that first, before you save it, it's going to tell you that the quiz is going to be worth 0. That's because it has to do some Canvas magic. So underneath my face right here, I'm going to push Save. And if the internet would move a little faster. My internet is very slow at home. Okay, so after a few minutes of it loading, it is finally loaded, and you can see that it now says that it's worth 28 points. And it's not going to tell you the point values for some reason until you save it. So if you're trying to hit a very specific point range, you'll need to pay attention to the how many pick versus how many points. So it's 4 times 2, which this is a math example, so they're really good at math. So 20, 4 times 2 is 28, so they're 28 there. And again, it's only going to show the students, for example, in this group, it's only going to show them 5 of those questions, and this group, it's only going to show them 4 of the questions. Each question individually will be worth 2 points, right or wrong. Now, in math, there is also the question. You can actually make Canvas generate questions that are unique using only one question. So if you had a word question like interest compounded monthly is compounded 12 times per year, if that was an equation that you were putting there, there is an equation generator where you can tell what the input is, and the kid has to come up with the output, and Canvas will generate the outputs for you. And that's an advanced feature. Anyways, that's how you create test banks inside of quizzes that can be ported across campus. So you could send this math quiz anywhere to any teacher by simply clicking on quizzes in here. And you can do copy to if it's a course you have access to. So right over here, these 3 dots, copy to, and you can send it to any course you teach. Or send to, if you want to send that to anyone that teaches the course. Or if you want to look at what your current quizzes look like in the new quizzes feature, you can migrate your quiz over. All that does is it keeps your old one and makes a new one that's in the new quizzes style. Canvas hasn't announced yet when old quizzes is going away, but they are building new quizzes, and there's going to be a lot of stuff available in new quizzes. Things that we're used to in EDIMS will be available in new quizzes. Okay, that's all I got for you guys today.